Hey everyone, it's Peyton. Before the episode starts, I just wanted to jump in and say that the audio is going to sound a bit scuffed because while we were recording, I guess for whatever reason, the gain on my mic reset. So it was at 100% and it was super loud. So it's not going to sound as good as it usually would. Hopefully it's not too bad. I was tempted to just scrap the whole thing or maybe just record a solo episode, but I decided against that. Also, I just didn't feel like it. And it just wouldn't be fair to not have Torrent's input. So yeah, the audio is going to be a bit scuffed. I tried to fix it as much as possible, so it would be worse. In fact, I'll even play a little clip of it. It sounded like this. Andy Serkis is reportedly set to play Knull in Venom. So yeah, not the greatest thing in the world. So hopefully I did a good enough job on the audio to fix it. But yeah, it's still not great. But yeah, I mean, this is mostly for me anyway, so who really cares? But yeah, anyway, enjoy our review for Joker 2 Folie. Yeah, it's a fun one. So it's unfortunate that the audio got scuffed on this, but it is what it is. Anyway, here's the episode.
Welcome everyone to the Avengenerds podcast, where we're talking more about DC, Star Wars, and more. I'm the host Torrent, and with me is my co-host Peyton.
Yo.
Today we'll be talking about Joker 2 Folie and the news of the week. Every time goes to the description and the show notes you want to jump around. And with that, here's Peyton with the news.
All right, we got a lot to get through because we have some thoughts on Joker 2. So let's just jump right into the news as quickly as possible. So Ewan McGregor revealed that they are currently exploring ideas for Obi-Wan Season 2. He adds that he wants to wear the Clone Wars armor and have more flashbacks with Hayden Christensen. I'm 100% in. I desperately want this. A lot of people don't like that series. I feel like I don't know if we're in the minority, but we really liked that series. We had a lot of fun with it. Thought it was really good. So a season 2 would be delightful. Any extra Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan is a plus for me. So I'm 100% on board with that, especially if they're going to be doing more flashbacks with Hayden Christensen. I'm in, 100% in, because we just got a little taste of it. And if they ever went full on, yeah, I'm there for that. But moving on to some huge DC news. A Robin's origin story animated movie is in the works at DC. It will apparently follow Dick Grayson and Jason Todd as orphan thieves who call themselves the Dynamic Duo. It's written by Matt Aldrich, who wrote Coco for Pixar. Was that Pixar or was that Disney? I don't remember. It doesn't matter. It's produced by Matt Reeves and James Gunn, of course. Not set in Matt Reeves' DC universe, though. And it will be a cross between CGI animation, stop motion, and live-action real-time performance. It's also unclear if it's actually going to be in James Gunn's DCU. I saw someone say it's like, oh, it's going to be in the DCU. But when people ask, like, how they know that, they were just like, well, they didn't say it wasn't. Like, okay, it doesn't... like, it's unclear if this is standalone or not. But Robin's origins, an animated origin story, and they released like a demo reel of some of their work. It looks crazy. This is definitely going to be a movie that is, I hesitate to say revolutionary because we haven't seen it, but based on the stuff that I saw, it could be something special. Next up, we got a bunch of not leaks, but we got a bunch of scooper stuff, so take everything from here on out with a grain of salt. But according to Daniel RPK, Andy Serkis is reportedly set to play Knull in Venom: The Last Dance. I've also seen people say Norman Reedus, so like I don't know who is going to be right in this situation. But honestly, either of those choices is fine with me, because it also doesn't matter because Sony's going to screw it up like they usually do. Also, according to Daniel RPK, Marvel Studios has reportedly removed all connections to Ruth or Sabra being from Israel in Captain America Brave New World due to backlash. Originally, the film featured her telling Sam that she was a mutant, but now she will be a powerless former Black Widow. Is what it is. This is according to Jeff Snyder. Just Raimi, because I'm friends with him. But Sam Raimi is rumored to be returning to direct Doctor Strange 3. This isn't a huge surprise. Also, it was rumored that not only did they want him back in the first place, but also that they want Doctor Strange 3 to come out either before Doomsday or before Secret Wars. Either of those two, they want that to happen. And I don't doubt that Sam Raimi would want to do it, or wouldn't want to do it. But yeah, he is rumored to be actually in talks to be returning to direct Doctor Strange 3, which I am 100% on board with, because again, I don't think it's the minority, but we are a couple of people who really enjoyed Multiverse of Madness. This is also according to Daniel RPK. Marvel Studios is reportedly developing a new Disney Plus series that focuses on finding the Scarlet Witch's other son, Tommy Shepard, aka Speed. It will serve as a direct follow-up and sequel to WandaVision and Agatha All Along. At least as things are going right now at Agatha All Along, I'm on board with this too. I think it'd be really fun. I don't know if it's going to be like a separate series, or maybe they'll like fold it into the Vision series. Regardless, I think it could be cool. And according to DRPK again, last piece of news, Logan Kim, who is in Ghostbusters Afterlife and Frozen Empire, has been cast, reportedly, take this with a grain of salt, but has reportedly been cast as Amadeus Cho in the MCU. If you don't know who that is, it's Hulkling, it's Hulk's son. Now, it is also rumored that his first appearance, not necessarily as the Hulk, but just as Amadeus Cho, will be in Captain America Brave New World. In what capacity, we don't know, but considering the Red Hulk's involvement in that movie, it would make a lot of sense. That's it for the news. We got through that shit quick, because we are going to be talking about Joker Folie, aka Joker 2, aka one of the worst rated superhero movies of all time. So we're going to do non-spoilers and spoilers. We're going to do quick non-spoilers because honestly, most of the stuff we have to talk about is going to be spoiler heavy. But Torrid, why don't you give us your non-spoilery thoughts?
So at first, this movie did not need to be made, right? But other than that, since we're here now, the movie, of course, is beautifully shot. I think it looks beautiful. The performances from Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga are great. Surprisingly, from Joaquin Phoenix, I haven't heard him sing. He's a pretty solid singer, pretty solid. As for the musical notes, I think they're good, and that's about it. But other than that, they just kind of felt. I felt like some of them needed better placement. And as for the overall script and direction, I think something's there. Like it's like something being buried alive. That's the only way I can really explain it, because with the themes and what Todd Phillips was trying to do, post Joker 1, Joker's created this movement, and they want to develop into the psyche of Joker, but something just doesn't fit. It doesn't feel right. But other than that, I think in terms of in comparison to the first one, I think they're about on par. Even I think whenever I rated it last for Joker 1, I think I rated it like a 4 or 5 or something like that, years ago. But obviously, things can change, and my thoughts change of Joker 1. I haven't seen Joker 1 since it came out. I don't want to go back and watch it. But for this one, it's about average for me, and that's about it.
Can't necessarily disagree. Yeah, just for full transparency, at least for me, I did not like the first Joker at all. We came out of it I was like, hey, this movie's fucking sick, dude. And like an hour after, I was like, did I like this movie? I don't know if I like this movie. So when Joker 2 comes around, or when it was announced, I was like, we literally don't need this. The first one wasn't even good anyway. But, you know, then stuff started coming out. It was a musical, and Lady Gaga as Harley and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm still not excited for it, but I'm intrigued to see what they do for a follow-up to the first film. And going into this, I was fully expecting to. I didn't go into it thinking I was going to hate it necessarily, but I went into it, you know, with low expectations. Especially considering all the reviews that have come out. You know, it's gotten a D cinema score, which is literally the lowest cinema score for a superhero movie ever. Lower than Madam Web, lower than Morbius, like lower than Fant Four Stick, which is crazy. Like, people hate this shit. So I went into it expecting not to like it, and I came out honestly enjoying it. Like I didn't like love it, but like I thought it was pretty good. Like I definitely liked it more than the first movie. However, there are definitely still some glaring issues. Mostly, at least for me, the ending. We're going to get more to that, you know, during spoilers. So all I can say about it right now is that the ending is not it. But also the musical elements. I didn't hate it. Like a lot. There's a bunch of people that are saying like, "Oh, it sucks because why would they make it a musical?" It doesn't suck because it's a musical. It sucks because of its execution.
Most definitely.
The musical elements, the musical element inherently isn't a bad thing, and can actually be done really well. In fact, there's like 2 or 3 musical moments in this movie that I actually think work really well, but the vast majority of them don't fit. You know, it's like songs in musicals are meant to either showcase what the character is thinking or push the plot forward in some way. And there's a few of them that do that, but for the most part, not really. A lot of the times it's like them looking at each other or out a fucking window, and they're like kinda singing a song. And it's not, it's like they had the idea for certain musical elements, and then they got Lady Gaga, and they were like, let's just make it a full-blown musical. And it doesn't deliver on that aspect. There is a lot of songs, but it's not a musical, if that makes sense. It's like the songs, like, they make sense. It's like when you listen to the lyrics, it's like, okay, I see how this connects, but it's like you could have just written a scene where they say these things. Like the music doesn't add anything other than a few exceptions. But yeah, so the musical elements didn't really come together fully, in the endings, just not very good. So ultimately, I weirdly had the opposite experience for this movie. Like, because the first film I didn't like, and I still don't like. However, the last like 15 minutes or so, like 15, 20 minutes, maybe less than that, are really, really good to me. Which honestly, it kind of saves the movie for me from being from it being just absolute garbage. Whereas this movie, I was really enjoying everything up until that last like 15 minutes. So yeah, that's all I really have to say as far as non-spoilers. I'd probably give it a 7. We also saw a tweet that I said, Torn, that I think encapsulates our thoughts really well. They said Joker 2 will probably go down as one of the few movies I just never end up giving a final rating to, even though I did. But I see it fluctuating a lot as time goes on. The more I think about it, the more I either like it and admire it, as well as dislike it and remain confounded by it, thoroughly fascinated by this. And that's pretty much how we feel. It's like, I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, hey, I really like this. I like this. And then you think about it more, it's like, but it didn't really come to, it's like, it's really conflicting. But yeah, so that is, did you rate it?
Rate it?
Yeah.
I mean, I said it was like about on par with the first Joker, so it's like, you know, at average, I would say that.
All right, fair enough. I think I gave the first one a 5.
Yeah,
and I'd give this one a 7 for now.
So
Yeah,
that's fair. I think, like, for me, like going into this movie, I think just visually is what I would like my movies to be like. I just love the camera work in this. I mean,
it's gorgeous,
crazy, but yeah, it is very, very gorgeous. But yeah, I think it's like, you know, like definitely like a 5 out of 10 for me. Like the lowest I'll probably ever give it is like a 4. Like, yeah.
Basically what we're saying is it's not great, but it's not like the biggest disaster you've ever seen, like a lot of people are saying it is.
Yeah, there's definitely like a lot worse movies out there, and like a lot of like worse like comic book movies out there.
The first one's worse than this, but that's just me.
Hey, bro, that's all you.
Yeah. All right, but let's get into spoilers. You have been warned, although considering the box office, you probably don't care either. So, yeah, let's get into spoilers. So the movie starts off with a little cartoon.
Oh, nice.
I thought it was fun.
I like it.
It's like it sums up the first movie, or the ending at least, pretty well, and also sets up the theme for the film. I thought it was really, really well done, because he's always in his shadow in this film. Is it on the nose? Yes, but whatever. Yeah, like I was saying earlier, a few of the musical elements made sense, but a lot of them did feel shoehorned in. One of the ones that made sense was, I think it might have been the first one, actually, after, you know, he meets Harley and they tell him that he's, you know, they're seeking the death penalty, and
yeah,
he starts singing, but like clearly it wasn't like real. Whereas all the ones with Harley, that's not in like the theater like stage look, seemingly was real, which is odd. She's like actually singing throughout the whole thing, because like when they tried to escape, she was singing, and then they were like, oh yeah, the lady that was singing when you guys were trying to escape. It's like, oh, so that was just they were just openly okay. That's a weird choice to me, but it is what it is. I like the musical element also right before he fires his lawyer.
Yes, I like that one too.
That worked really well.
That was really good.
And I think there was one more that I'm blanking on. But still, the ones that did work, few and far between. I really enjoyed it, and might be my favorite part of the film is when he goes full Joker in the courtroom with Puddles.
Yes,
I thought that was a lot of fun. I thought that was great.
Your last name is Puddles?
Well, that sounds like a joke. And he's like, and the judge is like, you can't make it a clown show. He's like, with all due respect, Your Honor, it's a little late for that. Yeah. Like that, yeah, that's good stuff. It's like it's moments like that where it's like I see glimpses of like, oh, this guy could be the Joker, like the Joker that we all know. Like it's like that felt Jokery, whereas a majority of the time it doesn't feel like that. But just the whole, or almost the whole movie, hinges on his defense being that he has multiple personality disorder. And something that I really enjoyed is that while his attorney and stuff like that is seeking that, Arthur himself clearly doesn't believe it.
Yeah.
Even though, you know, he's going along with it for the most part. But yeah, he clearly does not. He clearly doesn't believe that that's the case. The whole Joker aspect is clearly a coping mechanism for his trauma and stuff, but multiple personalities is obviously not the right diagnosis.
No, it's definitely not.
Let's talk about Harley, because she is, I've seen a lot of hate, but I've also seen a lot of mixed things about her role in this film. Personally, I liked it.
Oh, sorry.
No, go on.
I would say, yeah, like, personally, Lady Gaga did what she had to do. She killed it. I liked it. It is obviously just not the Harley that we know, obviously, because her name's Lee, bro. Her name's just Lee. It's not Harley, unfortunately. But yeah, it sucks, you know.
Yeah, I liked it, but it sucked. That's literally this movie. Yeah, I really enjoyed her character for the most part. Lady Gaga, I do think is a good choice, but she's never really given a chance to actually act because she's singing most of the time. And it's like I wanted to, see her Harley Quinn. And we also knew from before the film came out that it wasn't really going to be Harley because, they were going to do the same thing with Joker, how it's not, the Joker we know and love. So, like, I went in not expecting that. However, we did get some little things like, oh, she actually went to grad school for psychiatry and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, so there are some things there. But yeah, ultimately, I don't think it's weird because I'm happy that she didn't overshadow him, but at the same time, she felt underutilized.
For sure.
So they didn't really find the right balance there for me. However, I did enjoy how she lied to Arthur to get to where he needed to be. I like that she is just kind of crazy and she committed herself to the asylum and all that stuff. So all that works for me. Yeah, all that works for me, even though it didn't 100% come together in the end. But also, I do want to say the Harley and Arthur dynamic did remind me of... Also, her name is Harley. She just goes by Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, her name is Harley Quinzel, not Harleen Quinzel. I feel like that would have made more sense with the Lee whatever. Their dynamic, it's in a crude way, it reminds me of the Spider-Man Black Cat relationship, where Black Cat only cares about Spider-Man but not Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And here Harley cares about Joker, but she couldn't give a shit about Arthur Fleck. So, yeah, and it's like I only caught it the second time watching it because during the really weird and, in my opinion, unnecessary sex scene right before that, when Harley is putting the makeup on Arthur, she says to see the real him, number one, but then when she finished with the makeup, she said, now it's just us, like as if like Arthur's gone. So I think again, other than the weird sex scene, that stuff works for me.
It also makes sense like towards the ending too.
Yeah.
But
even though I don't love the ending.
No,
we'll get into that more.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that. Yeah, you can continue.
Well, I think a lot of people are, misinterpreting why he decides to drop the Joker persona. A lot of people are saying he's just, this fucks. A lot of people are saying that because people think he was raped by the guards. Personally, I didn't read it that way. Did you read it that way?
I can see the implication.
Yeah, I can see how people inferred that he was, but I'm not really convinced. I think they stripped him and like tortured him, but I don't think he was raped. I could be wrong. And
yeah, that's why I was confused because, like, for me, like, because Penny saw this before me, and this is the second time seeing it. I saw something on Twitter where some guy basically said like what happened like in the third act. So that's why I was going in and I'm like, okay, like I just wanted to see how this unfolds. Obviously, but yeah, they filmed it to where it was like a very like wide shot, and they just throw his body on the ground, and yeah, they cut to him like just being thrown into like, you know, solitary confinement because he's been in the hole for like 2 weeks of him in solitary confinement. But yeah, I see the implication. I'm kind of like, I'm like in the middle of it, to where it's like, yeah, it was still underwear, nothing like that happened, but I wouldn't be mad if someone inferred that.
Yeah, because when I saw it, I saw a bunch of people on Twitter saying like, oh, they raped the Joker out of him, which is a crazy ass statement. But I was like, did he? I mean, I remember the scene, but I was like, did he? So when I saw it the second time, I was like looking, I was like, maybe I like missed something. Like maybe one of the guards started like pulling their pants down. And like, I was like, yeah, but that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I thought like, you know, like, because like, you know, like, once they throw him on the ground, like one of them was gonna like unbuckle his pants, and I'm like, oh shit, that's gonna be fucking horrible. But yeah, it just cuts to that. It cuts to the next scene.
Yeah, so again, I can definitely see how people inferred that, but I'm not 100% convinced. Regardless, that event, him getting beat up, but also I would argue Puddles' testimony when he starts, you know, crying and saying, which was a really impactful scene, mind you.
Yeah.
When Puddles was like, you were the only one that was ever nice to me and that didn't make fun of me. I think that really got to Arthur.
For sure.
That was my reading of the situation. I think he really got to Arthur, and then, you know, once he got back and got his shit rocked by the guards, I think he, number one, with the guard stuff, I think it made him realize that when he is in that Joker persona, he's not invincible, which I feel like he has felt when he is in that persona. And obviously Puddles, you know, getting to him during the court scene, and once he's thrown into solitary confinement, Ricky, who throughout this film has been his biggest supporter, he's always with him, and he's you know, like cheering him on and stuff like that. Other than Harley, he's his biggest supporter, and he's killed by Brendan Gleeson's character, one of the guards, and I think he feels guilty for that, because his indirectly, but his actions got him killed. And I think all of that together makes him decide to drop the Joker persona. Not that he may or may not have just been raped, and therefore that's what happened. I think it's an oversimplification.
Yeah, because, you know, throughout this movie, you know, you're seeing the Jonkler. Like, you know, of course, he's in prison. He's kind of like a role model to these people, and you know, he's about to go on trial. He's about to go like in all these interviews before he gets on trial because he's trying to appear that he's competent. And you see that sense of like, you know, power getting back to him within prison. Hell, even like, yeah, some of the guards are treating him like a little bit more nicely because of his notoriety. And that scene when he's getting, you know, basically bullied by the guards and tortured, yeah, that definitely removes all of his self-esteem and confidence that he was building up in this film. So yeah, that scene definitely was impactful. Like when he was giving us closing remarks, that was a really great scene as well. And of course, yeah, you know, like he even says it like, yeah, like there is no Joker. I've like lived a fucking miserable life. This was something that like I created because like it just felt nice, you know.
Yeah, it was an escape for him, essentially.
For sure.
Let's talk about some funny moments. So, like,
fucking got his head slashed by that fucking car. That was fucking hilarious.
He was like, thanks, bud. And then Brendan Gleeson just smacks the shit out of him. It was really funny.
I'm a swaggy, you're my friend.
Yeah. And then when he's, at least for me, when he's, you know, signing the card for the other guard, he just puts, I hope you get cancer.
Yeah, that was what is a smiley face.
Yeah. I thought that was really good.
The guard whispers, yeah, like when they fucking fried him. Oh, really? Your autograph.
Yeah, that was really good. And then when like Carly's like, we're gonna build a mountain. And then someone goes, what the fuck does that even mean?
What does that mean?
Yeah, Those are some funny moments. When Arthur's having his breakdown in the courtroom scene, when he's like, I'm not the Joker, he says that he just wants to blow it all up. When I saw it the first time, obviously, I literally thought you should probably be careful with your words because someone is going to think you actually want something to be blown up. And then the courtroom blew up. I was like, well, that's what happens. Okay. See, after the explosion, at least in my opinion, after the explosion in the courtroom, the movie really goes downhill from there and feels very poorly written. Also, we got Two-Face.
It's also fucking, oh yeah, when the explosion happens, you see the once mewing Harvey Dent just becomes Two-Face. This like, it's almost like the ending felt like Gothamized as fuck. It's like fucking someone
like the show?
Yeah, like the show. Very poor. Don't like Gotham at all.
Bro, the Gotham fans are going to come after you.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I wrote
CWS quality ending.
Yeah, I wrote in my Letterboxd review. I was like, it feels fan fiction-y. Like, I could have written this ending in high school. Like that's what it felt like.
It's almost like Todd Phillips went to like a fucking 7-year-old like subreddit, found a comment, and just put that as the ending.
Yeah, it's like you're writing it. It's just like, and then the courtroom blows up, and then one of his Joker followers gets him, and then he escapes from that, and then he runs into Harley on the iconic Joker stairs from the first movie, and then they break up, and then the real Joker comes in.
Yeah, this ending was the ending was insane. Like,
well, I do want to say there is a theory because there's the scene where Harley's putting the gun to her head. There's a theory that Harley really did kill herself and Arthur just imagined her on the stairs. I don't really subscribe to that theory, but I thought I'd mention it. Also, speaking of blowing your fucking brains out, in the musical sequence at the end where Arthur does it, that was a fucking sick shot.
That was a great shot.
That was awesome. I also do want to say that apparently there were, and I don't know if the number is correct, but they definitely did do at least one. They filmed, the rumor is that they filmed 3 different endings, and supposedly one of them is that Harley actually kills the Joker in that scene.
See, that's what I was thinking. Because that's what I thought was, okay, yeah, of course, it comes back to the stairs, and Harley was gonna fucking kill Joker with the gun.
And it would make sense because at the end when he gets shanked, there's the parallel with her shooting him.
Yeah,
and if that was the case, that parallel makes more sense.
Yeah,
and also during the end credits, it's Lady Gaga singing "That's Life," and that would make sense if they went with that ending.
Yep.
Because even in the song, she changed the lyrics from king to queen. Like, it all checks out. But I guess they went with the fan fiction ending. I also don't know if that's true, but based on the behind-the-scenes footage I've seen, it looks like it. It looks like it. So I think that, but maybe they thought like, oh, well, if Harley kills the Joker at the end and like takes up that mantle, people would be like, oh, it's woke. Because imagine that. Well, because I literally saw that on Twitter because someone was like, "Oh, the movie's trash," and then someone replied to that like, "What happens? Do they make Harley the real Joker or something like that?" And it was like, let me guess, is it woke and they made Harley take up the mantle? I was like, "Oh, geez,
it's one of them."
Yeah, but like the ending it was bad. Specifically, the part where you get shanked and shit, because. I'm conflicted about it because on one hand, I actually do kind of like it because the idea of Arthur Fleck being the inspiration for the real Joker, because obviously he was never going to be the real Joker, but this is also obviously a world where the events of the Batman stuff as we know it happens. We saw at the end that Batman's parents gets killed and stuff like that. So, yeah. So I'm conflicted because on the one hand, I like it because the idea of Arthur Fleck being the inspiration for the Joker that we all know and love, I think is a really cool idea. However, the execution is awful.
It was so horrible because, yeah, obviously, oh my fucking God.
Well, because, yeah, the guy comes up and he's like, oh, let me tell you a joke or whatever. He shanks him, which is one thing. But, like, okay, say he is the real Joker, right? He carves the smile in his face, which some people are like, oh, it's Heath Ledger. Like, no, it's not. The timeline doesn't line up. But if it was, like, if Todd Phillips was like, yes, it's supposed to be Heath Ledger, I'm going to fucking lose it. But I don't think it is. I think it's just supposed to represent, like, to, like, people who didn't, you know, if it wasn't explicit enough, like, this is the Joker. But anyway, if he carves the shit into his face, is no one at the prison going to recognize the guy once he becomes full-on Joker? It's like, hey, that's the guy who fucking killed Arthur Fleck, the guy who literally cut a smile into his face. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's also just bad. It's just poorly done. Because he shakes him, and you looked at me, you're like, ain't no way. And then he carves the face, and you were just like, oh no.
Yeah, I know. I was just like, bro, ain't no fucking way. Like, this just happened. And like literally when the credits started fucking rolling, I just said, get me the fuck out of here, dude.
I kind of love how bad it is. It's so corny, bro. Like, yeah, it's like someone from the prison would be like, hey, that's, like, they look at, like, that universe's Joker, and they'd be like, hey, isn't that the guy that killed Arthur Fleck in prison?
Yeah, I know, right? And I just love how, like, the guard didn't come back, like, or no guard, like, shows up or something.
Yeah, so I'm just like, is he working for him? Or, like, if he actually did have a visitor who was visiting him? Like, what? I don't... was he paid off by the real Joker, so that's why he never came back? It doesn't mesh. Also, in what world does this movie cost $200 million? Like, it has to be... the most of the budget had to go to, like, Phoenix and Gaga, right?
Pretty sure.
Because there's no way.
And then I just saw something that said that it needs $450 million to break even.
Yep.
And that shit bad.
Yeah, it is not.
Hey, look, I'm just saying that's karma, bro. That's just karma.
Like, they made the first one for $55 million, and it made over $1 billion. And they were like, let's make the next one $200 million, even though it really doesn't show. Like, it's definitely bigger than the last one, but not $200 million big. That's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous, Torn. The Dark Knight Rises was $250 million. Like, there's no way. Okay, first off, I want to read a couple things because I want to, and I think it's two interesting perspectives. So one's going to be negative, one's going to be positive. I'm going to start with the negative one about Harley in particular. This is from Jay Stubes, who is a TikTok creator who we're both big fans of. She's fantastic. But she was basically saying that the movie is more incel-coded than the first one. When you have Harley, who notoriously in the comics is abused by Joker, is essentially now the abuser. And when Joker shows her his humanity, she rejects him because she doesn't want an emotional beta cuck boyfriend. And she also doesn't get a backstory to explain why she is who she is. And all it does is enhance the idea to those who have been red-pilled that women are the problem and women are out to get you and who you need to be to attract women. I don't disagree with really any of that. Yes, to be honest, even though I enjoyed Harley's prison in the movie, I can absolutely see where she's coming from. It's also because this movie is really weird. There's a lot of stuff I'm seeing on Twitter that's positive towards the movie where I'm like, I absolutely agree with that. And then I hear like really, really, really critical stuff of the movie where people that absolutely hated it. And I don't necessarily disagree with anything they're saying either. It's like I don't think I've ever watched a movie where I am so centered between people who are on both sides of the aisle. I completely understand why people despise this movie, and I completely get why others would absolutely love this movie. So, but yeah, I don't disagree with what she said at all.
No, I definitely don't disagree at all as well. But I mean, if you don't like it, you just didn't get it, you know?
Yeah, no, you just didn't understand it.
You just don't get you don't get it. Like, you don't understand intellectual themes of isolation and humanization of someone who's dealing with mental illnesses and has trauma, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly, yep. And then there was this one Reddit post that I saw tweeted. They said, "This is my take. I think this film does a great job of honoring fans who got what the first movie was trying to say while pissing off those who instead decided to idolize Fleck like the mob at the end of the first movie. The sequel revolves around the idea of the shadow of the Joker growing too large for Fleck to handle. It swallows him whole. This is alluded to in the end of the first movie and in the stellar animated start of this film. The film even includes the song We Three, My Echo, My Shadow, and Me, presenting the central dichotomy. Who is Arthur? Is he this looming shadow, this darker force? Is he the legacy that his violent actions reverberate? Or is he simply a nobody, a forgotten man who's slipped through the ever-widening cracks of a neglectful, cold society? I think the musical numbers really drive these themes home, especially the courtroom scene. Throughout the sequel, we see him exploited by the prison guards who use him for entertainment, from the protesters and terrorists who use him to push their agendas, and by Quinn, who uses him to reach for grandeur and share her delusions with, and drops him the instant he no longer lives up to his shadow. It's a critique on how society perpetuates violence through sensationalism, romanticism, sexualization, and mythos. On Columbiners, on incels, on fascists. It's a critique on itself, on how a mega successful box office hit glorified the Joker's flagrant violence so much that many forgot about the broken, downcast Arthur Fleck. And in the end, Fleck is killed by someone who will live up to that shadow, someone who's more willing to take on the role of the Joker as we know it. I think Harley is supposed to be the audience stand-in, and that's especially why so many people are going to be upset with this take on a sequel. Just like her, audiences wanted to see Phoenix's Joker become the clown prince of crime, to fulfill the cycle of violence, to contend with Batman. And when we're shown that Arthur Fleck is a human being, just like her, some of us are disappointed. He didn't live up to our Joker, and just like her, we stop watching. We leave the theater, we leave awful reviews. Our Folie adieu loses its dance partner. It's almost like Phillips predicted this reaction. I think the in-universe made-for-TV film that's constantly brought up represents the first movie, and it's just as controversial in-universe as the first movie was in ours.
Damn.
Yet again, I don't necessarily disagree with anything said here.
That person's kind of spitting.
Like, he kind of spitting. However, the thing I do disagree with is that Todd Phillips predicting this reaction, I don't believe that.
Yeah. No, bro.
Definitely not. But, however, the idea that people are reacting to this film in the way that people reacted in universe, I think is pretty spot on. I don't think that's the case for everyone. There's some people that just straight up didn't like it because they didn't like it. Like Jay Stubes, who we talked about earlier, mostly didn't like it because, number one, she didn't like its themes, but also she was just mostly bored. And fair enough. If you think it's boring, it's fucking boring. You're not going to like it. But yeah, I think this person's pretty spot on.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think that's all I have to say about it, to be honest.
Yeah, I have nothing else to say about it either. I mean, like, that comment pretty much explained like how I was thinking, or like it definitely did something like that. Again, like, you know, we already talked about it. The musical numbers, wall to wall, some are good, some are just not executed properly. The performances are good, but overall, just it is something that, like I said, like, it was this movie felt like something that was like buried alive. Like it was something that was trying to tell something and then ended up falling flat and didn't live up to what it was trying to do. Other than that, like who knows if I'll rewatch this movie in the future. But as of right now, like I just think it's like very mid. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and like we said in that like tweet earlier, like the way it feels, it's like the more you think about it, the more you either like and admire it or you dislike it and remain confounded by it. It's a fascinating film because like you hear that the thing that I just read out and it's like, hey, maybe this movie actually ain't that bad. But then you think about it a bit more and it's like, oh, the ending and some of the other stuff in the film and it's like, but it's still not great. So it's just I think the best conclusion I can come up with, at least right now, is like it's a good film with a decent message and themes that's just not executed as well as it could have been.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. But yeah, like you, I don't know if I'll ever rewatch this movie. I still haven't rewatched Joker because I don't want to. I just don't. In fact, the times in this movie where we flash back to the previous film, I just went like I don't like this. I don't like this movie. But yeah, for now, 7 out of 10. But that'll probably change, up or down. Who knows? But did you watch anything this week? I already know you didn't.
I didn't.
Unless you did you?
Yes, I did. Oh shit! I forgot to log it in. Damn.
Well, I was forgetting to lock everything in.
Yeah, I know. But pretty much, I watched the 2006 remake of The Hills Have Eyes, and the original was directed and written by Wes Craven. I have some thoughts about this movie. Granted, I went into this movie thinking that it was like the original, but like from what I've seen, is that like the story is literally like a beat for beat of the original from the 1977. So, like, if you've seen the 1977 one, I'm just gonna speak on this as if I saw the original. So pretty much, The Hills Have Eyes. It's actually a great concept. I'm a sucker for like, you know, anything that has to do with like, pretty much like mutants and like, you know, anything that has to do with like nuclear fallouts, except for Fallout, because
yeah, what that show though, the show's peak.
I haven't watched the show though. So pretty much with The Hills Have Eyes, about a family who goes through like, who's trying to go to California but ends up going through like you know, like Nevada, and it's pretty much like obviously what happened in Nevada is that there's like the nuclear test sites and stuff like that. But yeah, pretty much, you know, on this trip, you know, there's like a family of like what, like maybe like, because I know that there's like the dad, the mom, the brother, the 2 sisters, and the sister's like fiance, who's played by what's his name, Aaron Sanford. So pretty much Pyro from X-Men.
Oh, I was like, I don't know what the fuck that is.
And like there's also the and there's like they have like 2 dogs, and you know, going through the country, a lot of shit's like happening. First off, like, you know, like what they go to like a gas station to get gas, and one of the workers there was like, hey, like if you go down this path, it's a shortcut. And I'm like, oh my god, typical stuff. And so pretty much, you know, they listen to that man, they get stranded, you know, their tires are popped and shit like that. And as the shit starts to go downhill, first off, one of the dogs, her name is Beauty, she runs off because, you know, dogs are just dogs. And then like, as one of the people are trying to find the dog, it's like gutted, and it's like, holy shit. And so that happens, and as it's happening, you know, you know, some of them leave to go try to find like resources and like help because, you know, obviously they're stranded. Doug, the fiance, pretty much like he wanders around like kind of like a crater, a former crater with like radiation and shit like that. And he finds like all this shit, while the dad goes back to the gas station. And he figures out like, oh yeah, you know, there's like nuclear fallout, but like also like people were affected here, because in the story, they were like minors and shit like that. Like, not those ones. Don't say shit.
That's crazy. She yelled on him. No, don't.
We don't. Jesus. They were like minors who like had like, you know, family and like, you know, they're working for like, you know, they're just working underground and shit like that. And they basically were like fucking nuked to death. But because they were nuked to all the radiation, they like ended up like mutating and shit like that. So there's like mutants walking around. So basically the dad finds that out. He finds the store owner. The store owner pretty much like, he's like kind of like was like working for the like family of like mutants, and he kills himself, and he ends up getting captured by one of the I guess like the big mutant or whatever. And this is where the film kind of like goes to shit, or like this is like, I don't really enjoy this scene a lot. So basically, you know, they find the family, whatever. They use the dad as like a distraction pretty much. And everyone goes to fucking see the dad, like already fucking dying. He's being burnt and shit like that. Two of them go into the fucking like the trailer that they're in, and they fucking like essay one of the fucking like women. Oh, they saw another woman too, and they fucking kill her, and they kidnap the fucking baby, and then like one of the fucking like the fucking family, or like the two guys all late decide to finally go back to the fucking trailer after like people have been shot and killed and fucking traumatized. And I'm like, what the fuck is even happening? And so that happens, and the next day they're trying to like, you know, go investigate or whatever. Well, you know, the fucking father, Doug, aka Pyro's character, he's like, oh yeah, they took my kid and I gotta find them. I'm like, yeah, they fucking took your kid because you didn't, like, you fucking went out there, like you didn't fucking look after your kid or your wife. So they're fucking, your wife is dead, and like they fucking took your kid. And so in this like you know, whole sequence or whatever, he finds his kid in this like little like rundown town, and it's like all fucking crazy because like, you know, obviously it's a nuke town, literally, COD reference. But there's also some like mutated children and like mutated fucking freaks and shit. That happens. And then like some of the like the brother and sister, they like plant traps and shit like that and whatever. Pretty much they end up kind of winning the battle, whatever. They kill all the fucking mutants, and then like the movie ends with them being stalked in the distance or whatever. And there's a sequel to this movie, which I'm not gonna watch because it's fucking stupid. And that's what I watched. Shitty movie.
And that's all you watched?
Yeah, that's all I watched.
All right, Torn, buckle up.
Oh my god,
I went on a spree.
God, you're a binge king.
Yeah, well, when you're unemployed. I watched Dogma, the Kevin Smith film from 1999, and you can't find it anywhere, or well, I mean, you can't find it places, but you can't find it anywhere legally because there's a bunch of legal reasons. It doesn't matter. But I found it on Internet Archive, so if you want to watch it there, you can. Man, this is top 3 Kevin Smith right here. Chasing Amy still number 1. Clerks 2 is probably number 2, or Dogma could be number 2. Honestly, they can flip flop, but this was really, really solid. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck put in really, really great performances. The writing is really well done. Obviously, it's Kevin Smith, so it's like still Kevin Smith dialogue, but with the whole like Christian ideology, mythology of it all being interwoven into it. It's done really, really well, honestly. He still manages to fit Jay and Silent Bob in there. And at first I was like, this kind of feels shoehorned in, but it makes sense. And it honestly doesn't even fucking matter. It's just a really, really solid movie. And it's just a lot of fun. I think I'd probably give it an 8 to an 8.5. Then I watched First Man, which is directed by Damien Chazelle, who did, Whiplash and whatever. Starring Ryan Gosling. It's about it's essentially a Neil Armstrong biopic. It was okay. I was pretty disappointed. The sound design was phenomenal. It was like really, really good. And it's like, it looks good and stuff like that. It's well acted, but honestly, I was just bored the whole time. It was just kind of disappointing for me, which sucks because it's Damien Chazelle and I like his movies, and it got generally good reviews. It has good reviews on Letterboxd and stuff from people that I trust, but yeah, it just wasn't for me. Maybe I watched it on an off day, I don't know. But I also, I'd give it like a 6 to a 7 out of 10. Then I watched The Wild Robot, the new film, The Wild Robot, which is probably going to do better than Joker 2, which is really fucking funny. Yeah, The Wild Robot was really fucking good. Easily, as of right now, but honestly, I don't see anything coming out after this that's better. It's probably going to be the best animated film of the year. Yeah, it's just truly, truly wonderful. The movie starts out and it's like really depressing, like off rip. Like, it's like, Jesus, this is already really sad. But it ends up becoming, not depressing. And it's just a really, really, really good movie. Performances were really great, particularly by Lupita Nyong'o and Pedro Pascal, who probably have the most screen time. But the rest of the cast do really well. Kit Connor, Bill Nighy, Mark Hamill is in it as well. Ving Rhames, even Matt Berry is in it, and he's always funny. So yeah, it's just a really, really, really great film. And I'd probably give it like a 9 out of 10. It was phenomenal. And also then the animation was fucking spectacular. We live in a post-Spider-Verse world, and these studios are finally comfortable with getting inventive with their animation. Obviously, Spider-Verse is this comic booky style. We had TMNT, Mutant Mayhem, which had almost like a crayon colored pencil look to it, with a lot of like scribbles and stuff like that. And this movie, The Wild Robot, feels very like watercolor, like brush strokes sort of look to it. It's really, really good. Then I saw Oz the Great and Powerful, because like Wicked's coming out, and I'm like, I'm kind of in a Wizard of Oz mood. I'll watch Oz the Great and Powerful because I've never seen it. And wow, it's bad. It's bad, bro. It's like, it's Sam Raimi, and I'm like, oh yeah, Sam Raimi's doing it. That's fun. Oof, bro. Oof. No wonder he like took a fucking break after this shit. God damn. It's honestly the biggest. There's 3 pillars of what makes this movie awful. Number 1, it looks horrible. It's horrendously bad looking. Like, the CGI and green screen is abysmal. Number 2, everyone that's playing a established character from The Wizard of Oz, horrendously miscast, except Glenda, who is actually doing quite a good job. Everyone else fucking sucks. 3, he wasn't allowed to go full Raimi. There's like a couple moments where I'm like, that's Raimi, but for the most part, it might as well not be Raimi's film. It looks awful. It's awfully miscast. James Franco, like, I guess fits because he's playing Oz, who's, is meant to be like really slimy, and untrustworthy, and he like does that well, but nothing about him is compelling as the lead. It doesn't work. Mila Kunis is the fucking Wicked Witch of the West. The makeup's horrible. Her performance is atrocious. Rachel Weisz is in this. She's actually decent. And Michelle Williams, who I guess if you're listening to this, you may know her from the Venom movies. I mean, she's a bunch of stuff, but she's like Brokeback Mountain and shit. But she's actually a really good Glenda. But everyone else just fucking sucks. Joey King is in this, who plays a little China girl, and she's probably the best character in the movie. She's like the only one that's actually likable throughout the whole thing. But yeah, the only reason the score isn't lower than I've given it, which is a 4, by the way. I give this movie a fucking 4, is because the third act is pretty decent, because the whole idea is that Oz is, he's like a con man, and he's like a magician, and he, does tricks. And so they actually use that to do some fun things in the third act. But yeah, everything else is fucking dreadful. Horrible film. 4 out of 10. Could be even lower, to be honest. Then I watched The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, the newest Guy Ritchie film starring Henry Cavill and Alan Ritchson, among others. Honestly, I was really disappointed by this. Judging off the trailers, it looked like a lot of fun. It looked like Guy Ritchie doing in like his version of Inglourious Bastards. So I was really excited for this, especially with Alan Ritchson and Henry Cavill in it. I was really excited to see their dynamic, but unfortunately, number one, Cavill and crew isn't in it that much. Like, I mean, they're in it, but like they're not as much of the main characters as the trailers make it seem. Alan Ritchson and Henry Cavill don't really interact as much as I would have liked. They have a whole crew. They're like the fucking, what's the name of the Captain America group?
What?
The Captain America group.
What do you mean Captain America?
See, the in World War II. What's their names?
Captain America ain't real? The hell?
Bro. With Dum Dum Dugan and shit. What's their name? The Howley Commandos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Howley Commandos. It's like they're the Howley Commandos, but like we don't get to really see their dynamic. Like there's so much there that could have been done, and it's just not it's just not capitalized upon. So yeah, but the biggest offense for this movie is that it's just boring. I was just bored, unfortunately, which really sucks because after coming off of seeing A Man from U.N.C.L.E., which we both really enjoyed, I was like, hell yeah, I'm expecting to get sort of like, a similar thing from this, but unfortunately no. So I give it like a 6 out of 10, unfortunately. Then I watched Brightburn, the little
oh my God.
Sort of like indie-esque horror movie from not from James Gunn, but he produced it, where it's sort of like a horror version of Superman's origin and whatever. Honestly, pretty fun. I mean, it does exactly what it promises. It's doing like a little evil Superman. I mean, that's what it is, and it's horror. I mean, it does it. There were some really cool visuals. There were some really cool like sort of actiony moments. There were cool horror moments. Like, could there have been more? Like, yeah, but honestly, I was pretty satisfied with what they did with it. It's like it's nothing. It's nothing that it isn't, and it doesn't do anything more than what it needs to. So 8 out of 10. It's just solid, and also it's short. It's like an hour and a half. But yeah, that's all I watched. Too many things. I think I watched what, like 6, 7 things if we include Joker 2. Jesus. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Is that the show?
That is the show.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening to the Avengers podcast. If you want to follow us, we're at Avengenerds on Twitter. That's AVENGE Nerds. All one word. If you want to follow either one of us, you can reach me at @Zenith_ on Twitter. Where can they reach you?
At Toringon on Instagram.
Incredible. We also have a Discord if you'd like to join the conversation there. This will be linked in the show notes. You can also check out our link tree for any additional links you may be interested in. You can also review the show and app on Apple Podcasts. If you could leave 5 stars in a review, it would really help us out. Thanks again for listening to the Avengers podcast. We'll see you next week.
Later.